on my Mexican side, you know, because I am Black, I am a bit more looked down upon in that society or in that culture. And then on the Black side, it's like I'm lifted up in a weird way.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Social Exchange Project. I'm your host, Shang Elizabeth Lore, and I'm just so excited about today. Like, I can't get over it. My guest today is a beautiful and talented vocal artist. She is known for her blend of old school and new age R&B. She's also a very proud biracial woman of color who discovered her love and talent for music at the age of 5. So welcoming to the show my very good friend, now a good friend. I was a fan, but now I'm a friend, I think. Welcoming to the show, Naalia. Hi, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Hello, thank you for having me. And I'd say we're friends.
Yeah, I think we're friends now. I feel really privileged to say that. So tell us a little bit about you, Naalia.
Well, I am from Eau Claire. I grew up here until like 8th grade, and then I moved around a bit in high school. Been doing choirs and stuff ever since I could remember. Always had a love for music, that's for sure. Currently I work at a daycare. I love working with children. It's one of my other passions as well. And I do music around town, I suppose. Started a couple of years ago now with my brother, Serge. He was the one
Sergio.
He's the best, honestly.
We love Sergio.
But yeah, then I've just been creating my own music, performing covers, all of that ever since 2019. So yeah, it's been a really good time so far. But.
So how would you so you discovered your love and talent for music at the age of 5. What was that like for you?
It's actually one of those like random distinct memories you have from childhood, where I was just like in a choir class, I remember, and I got asked to sing some sort of solo or something. I don't remember the song, but I performed in front of my kindergarten class, and so I definitely remember that moment of just like, oh wow, I really love this.
Like you're meant to do this.
Yeah, at five amazingly. So, but yeah.
That's amazing. So the other day we were chatting, and you mentioned your pride in being a biracial woman. You've had very unique experiences being both Black and Mexican. How has this shaped you and the music that you've produced today?
It's been a little bit of a challenge. I won't deny that. Just there is some discourse between the Latino and the Black community. But so within that, it's been hard just sticking and solidifying myself in my identity as a Mexican American. But so as far as like music that's influenced me, there is, Selena, the artist.
My niece, actually, shout out to my niece. She's 14 and a beautiful human being. She was named after the singer, Selena.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I love her. Loved her since I can remember.
I've seen you done a couple of covers of her live as well, right?
Yeah.
At the Decadent?
Yeah,
Cabaret?
Decadent Cabaret.
Yeah.
That was amazing. We were like decked out in the cow print costumes and everything. And then we did it another time at there was a cultural festival in the Altoona River Prairie Center, or Prairie like outdoor center. That was back in August, so a few months ago. But yeah, love singing her music, her songs, everything. She was also like, I like identify with her big time because she was also Mexican American who didn't necessarily speak the best Spanish, and so that's
she
also
broke a lot of norms as a musician.
Oh yeah,
absolutely,
for sure. As like a woman in Tejano music, just like, and as a Mexican American in the United States, like the popularity with Americans as well. But so that just like that helped me with my identity for sure. Just like seeing another, while she wasn't necessarily Black, there was still
she had like Latin influences though. I felt like she really introduced like the Latin genre to America.
Oh yeah, for sure. And she like definitely incorporated a lot of like her American like idols as well, like Madonna or whatever, the 80s, that type of sound was brought into her music as well. And so I think that also happens with me a little bit, like it's a little bit it's not as prevalent, the Latino side of me, but it's that, as long as with like the American music that I've listened to, there are little bits and pieces here and there, whether it's like the beat, the rhythm, the like a bass line or something like that. But I just like it, I can't help it, you know what I mean? It's just a part of who I am and the music I've listened to, and I incorporate it into my music as much as I can. Definitely want to do songs like in Spanish in the future for sure. But yeah.
That's amazing. And I think you describe yourself as like an R&B artist, more of a vocalist in the area. Can you tell us a little bit more about your roots, being a Black woman, a very proud Black woman, and how that influences the music and how you write your music?
For sure, yeah. Well, my mom, like, she grew up in the 90s. She was around
I
my
also
age
love your
in the
mom.
90s.
Shout out to your mom.
Shout out Mireya Sigala.
Yeah, what's up? She's amazing.
She's pretty cool, yeah. But so she was a young adult in the 90s and listened to all that, you know, the big explosion of music back in that time. And so she listened to all that and played all of that for me as I was growing up. Like, funny story, one of the only songs that I would like calm down and fall asleep to was All My Life by Casey and JoJo.
No way.
Yeah.
I have to do a quick shout out because that is my cameraman's favorite song.
Is it really? That's
yes,
awesome.
Casey and JoJo. That's like our jam. Okay. So.
Literally the only song she says I would fall asleep to. Nothing
Wow.
else. Crazy. And it's still one of my favorites, of course, to this day. So, but yeah, just like I got a lot of representation from my family as far as like music goes. Just in general, they made sure that I felt seen growing up. You know, they would buy me like Black Barbies, any type of toys or any books, anything. It would be like people of my color. My family is very Catholic, and so they have every Christmas they have this nativity set, and they're all brown, just like me. And so like things like that.
Representation really matters.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. It helps develop your sense of like well-being growing up, for sure. And so they did a great job of having that available for me, especially in an area like this where I went to school here, and a lot of the times I would be the only Black person in my class, or even the only person of color in my class sometimes. And so just being able to have those visuals, like those reminders, like, hey, it's like there are other people like me, and it's okay to look this way, to have the hair that I do.
Be a little bit different, be a little bit unique.
Yeah,
You're
for
special
sure.
in that way.
Yeah. They definitely painted it more as special than, you know, you hear some stories where like families will paint it as like a downgrade or something like
a
that.
negative thing.
Yeah. But so I've always been proud to be Black. Of course I've had my struggles going through like high school or whatever, relaxing my hair so that it's like straight, but just I am a proud Black woman. Like, that'll never change. I can't see that changing at all. But so just like listening to the 90s music of like Monica or like TLC or you know, Brandy, all
you
of
were
them.
speaking my language right now.
Yeah, but they have a heavy influence on me for sure. But yeah, it's pretty great.
You talked a little bit about some of the struggles, and I think naturally, you know, having so many different like polarizing identities, like that's something I've talked about a lot on the show is, you know, I'm growing up in a refugee family. Like, I was the first child born here in America. So I had to struggle a lot with being white or Americanized and being Hmong, like a traditional Hmong woman. And I struggled a lot with those two identities as well. Have you experienced that between being Mexican and Black?
Oh, definitely, for sure. I do see it a lot on the Latino side of my identity, where they'll see me, and I do, like, when people see me on the street, you know, they'll just assume I'm Black, because I do have very African features. My hair is super curly, it's thick. But so as far as on my Mexican side, if we were to like go to a wedding, go to the Mexican grocery store in town or something, people will just assume that I'm not, which kind of takes a dagger at me, because I feel so strong, like such a strong bond with that side of my family, of myself. And so just the assuming that oh, no, you're not really Mexican, or no, you can't be,
or you're not Mexican enough.
Yeah, like they'll be like surprised if I like the way I like eat my food, or if I'm able to dance like cumbia or something like that. They'll just like be so taken aback.
Or speak and sing in Spanish.
Yeah. It's just like, well, why wouldn't you think I'm that way? And then even after I tell them that, yes, I'm Mexican, like, yeah, this is where my family's from, like, they'll still stick with the narrative that they had in their head prior to me telling them that. And there's definitely like a lot of colorism on that side as well. There are like certain phrases that I've like heard in Mexico where it's like, I don't know how to say the English equivalent exactly, but we're like, oh, you don't want to go in the sun too long, or you like get burnt, something like that. And so there's definitely a lot more learning, I want to say, on that side. Just like comments about my hair being unprofessional if it's like this. You've heard of these stories before. On my Black side, there have been like weird moments, I would say, like of fetishization, I think, which just kind of adds to like, or speaks volumes about like the struggles of Black women, and like how they're kind of, you hear they're like at the bottom of the totem pole or whatever. And so
can you elaborate more on that?
Just I from what I've seen, what I've read about, just in our society, dating back from, way back when, just Black people there's always some sort of anti-Black sentiment throughout the world. And there's also the patriarchy as well, correct? And so as far as like, so with Black people, not necessarily, sorry,
like Black women of color.
Yeah, right? yeah. Just kind of being with those two, going at them, like always being
those
something.
Two labels.
Yeah. They just seem to tend to be at the bottom. And then so it's like when I'm like, yeah, I'm Black, and then like people know I'm Black, and then I mention that like I'm also Latina, and then it's like, ooh, like some weird kind of piqued interest, which is like oh, like you're spicy or whatever, something like that. And so just like having that, I don't want to say it's necessarily a struggle for me, but it hurts for Black women, like fully Black women, darker skinned Black women, that that is something that happens. I don't see myself as like being I feel like I am put more high up on a pedestal when that happens, when it shouldn't be that way.
Right.
And so
because
it's
you have
kind of
another like identity, I guess.
Yeah. So it's kind of like opposites with both sides of me. On my Mexican side, because I am Black, I am a bit more looked down upon in that society, or in that culture. And then on the Black side, it's like I'm lifted up in a weird way. On my Mexican side, for sure, just give a lot of credit to my family with they were very representative with, like I said, with me seeing my Blackness while I was growing up, but they've also made sure to like punch it into me or whatever, that you are Mexican, like don't let anybody tell you different, like like they say, like you sing this type of stuff better than whatever stuff like that. They just made sure that I knew or I felt that I was a part of the culture, which is why I have such a strong feeling, I think, with my Mexican side, and like eating pozole or whatever, like I said, dancing cumbia or rancheras and stuff like that. And so which I know is not always the case with a lot of people, just having that strong familial bond, but I think for that's what like really helps me get through that, even though I don't speak Spanish necessarily well, which is like a talking point people like to bring up, as far as like, oh, you're not really Latina or whatever, but honestly, I just like, I think back to my family on that side and just how much they've supported me, and I've just had that support for so long that it's kind of hard for me for that to falter, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And I can really relate to that, because I do think that, there's a level of guilt and shame sometimes when you don't speak the language that you're like natively you should learn or know, but at the same time you are just you, like you happen to be Black and Mexican, and you are embracing both aspects of those cultures the best you can. And I can really relate to you on that. So
There's no time to speak. Nothing you can say will hurt. Still the hand turns mockingly. We've reached the worst part. Minor harmonies, one word's all we need. Let's pretend that it's a bad dream. Let's pretend we're only sleeping. Frustration and weed makes it hard to breathe. Let's pretend that it's a bad dream. Wake up soon so you can wake me. Your words cut deep. Nothing feels worse than when I'm in need. Please reach out and touch me. Minor harmonies, one word's all we need. Let's pretend that it's a bad dream. Let's pretend we're only sleeping. Frustration and weed makes it hard to breathe. Let's pretend that it's a bad dream. Wake up soon so you can wake me. Minor harmonies, one word's all we need. Let's pretend that it's a bad dream. Let's pretend we're only sleeping. Frustration and weed makes it hard to breathe. Let's pretend that it's a bad dream. Wake up soon so you can wake me.
I just want to kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about your music. I, again, have been a fan of yours for a while. What inspires you to write your music, and what does that process look like?
I think I am a very like emotional being, and so I have a
Me
lot
too,
to
girl.
give into. Definitely very much so water sign. but so I just have a lot to give into whatever I'm feeling to write about. And so as far as the process goes, it's usually just me and my brother Serge, and he pulls up some sort of beat or some sound, or he'll play a little something. He's much more on the the instrumental and technical side of things, and so he'll show me something, or we'll go through different sounds, and then I like sounds make me feel a certain way, so like I'll hear like some sort of bubbly noise or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that makes me feel happy, that makes me feel like running around or something like that, and then he'll usually be like, okay, you know, he's very supportive in me writing my own music, and so we'll just go off of that and try to, what I do is I normally come up with like some sort of melody or something. I'll just hum along or do like do-do-dos and and then just mess with that a little bit and then add lyrics afterwards.
So you come up with like the melody and the beat first. Normally.
Yeah. And then the lyrics usually come last, and so it's kind of, I guess it could be backwards to some in a way as far as process goes, but I usually just go through that a little back and forth, and then we bring it to our band members, and we say like, this is what we have for your part, and then they add their own little thing to it, and like it all comes together. So it's a pretty,
like a harmony.
Honestly, I have a really like great team, I like to say. So good
amazing stuff. So when we talk about, like, I feel like we talked a little bit about you as the artist Naalia, and then also you as like the person Aliana. And so for those who are not familiar, Naalia, your stage name is just a play off of your name Aliana.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What has been the most important thing you feel that you've learned through being the artist Naalia, and how is that different from like Aliana, who you are?
Just, I think the confidence side of Naalia, for sure. Just something happens when I go up on stage, and all of a sudden I'm chatty Cathy, and like I'm super confident, and I think I'm the shit.
Well, you are.
But I think that's helped. That's incorporated itself into my Aliana life, just because Aliana's very shy and very reserved, doesn't like to do much and talk to people, but I definitely like have a bit more confidence in myself. I feel like I can hold a conversation a little bit better. That's one point.
When you're Naalia, I feel like you light up the stage. You're so confident. You really are. I had said this the other day when you were performing. Just like I had goosebumps all throughout my body when you're hitting like certain notes and things, like notes I could never hit, but like I just felt like you were a different person. You transformed on stage, or when you're like performing your music, like you convey a different message. And so it's just been really nice to see both sides, because I do think they're a little bit different. In a good way. So what advice would you give to someone, whether they be a biracial woman of color, somebody who's interested in pursuing music, or otherwise?
Well, as far as being biracial goes, like, I know it's easier said than done, but just don't let anyone tell you different. Like, if you feel that connection with your cultures, whatever they may be, multiracial as well, just, it's gonna be hard, but you got to put those blinders on and just say your mantras if needed. Talk to family, just dive into your culture a little bit more, but just, you can't let anyone tell you different, because it's a part of who you are, and you can't change that. No one else should try to. So
absolutely, stay authentic.
Yeah, for sure.
Ready for a miracle hour, chill until the sun sets, waiting for the magic hour. It ain't perfect, but everything's beautiful here. It ain't perfect, but everything's beautiful. It ain't perfect, but everything's beautiful. It ain't perfect, but everything's beautiful. It ain't perfect, no. It was windy in the city, so pretty that night. I swear I tried to until the sun sets. I'm waiting for the magic hour. It ain't perfect, but everything's beautiful here. It ain't perfect, but everything's beautiful. It ain't perfect, but everything's beautiful. It ain't perfect, but everything's beautiful. It ain't perfect, but everything's beautiful, beautiful now. Maybe I'm the miracle, waiting for the miracle. Maybe you're the miracle. Maybe you're the waiting for the miracle. Maybe you're the waiting for the miracle. Maybe you're the miracle, waiting for the miracle. In the magic hour, it ain't perfect, but everything's beautiful, beautiful now.
So it's been really great having you on the show. I've enjoyed thoroughly, like, not just our friendship, but just our time together this week and filming and just getting to know one another on a more deeper level. So I appreciate you being here. But before I let you go, I just want to ask, like, do you have any projects or any kind of upcoming music activities or anything that you've got going on in 2022 that we should be looking out for?
We will have some new music.
Anything you can let us know, I guess.
It's gonna be funky, groovy.
I'll be a backup singer. I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
yeah, for sure.
No. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I've really enjoyed our time together, and I appreciate you taking the time out and spending time with me today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. That's been great.
Thank you.
Let's go.